Have you ever imagined losing everything on the happiest day of your life? Just 1 hour before I was supposed to marry the woman I loved, my boss's spoiled son walked into my wedding venue, smiled as if he had won a game, and handed me an envelope. Inside was a termination letter. Looking straight into my eyes, he whispered, "Consider it my gift to you." My hands started shaking, my guests watched in silence, and I thought my future had been destroyed. But just when I believed my life was over, my phone rang. The name on the screen changed everything. It was my boss, and what he said next turned the entire situation upside down. For 7 years, I worked as a senior project manager at one of the city's largest construction companies. I never missed deadlines, treated everyone with respect, and believed that hard work always paid off. My boss trusted me with major projects, and my coworkers often came to me for advice because they knew I would always help them. My wedding day had finally arrived after months of planning, and my fiancée Emma and I couldn't have been happier. Friends and family traveled from different cities to celebrate with us, and everything seemed perfect. As I stood outside the wedding hall greeting guests, I felt proud of everything I had achieved. I had a stable career, a beautiful woman who loved me, and a bright future ahead. But there was one person who had always hated seeing me succeed: my boss's son, Ryan. He had recently joined the company despite having little experience and expected everyone to obey him simply because his father owned the business. He constantly tried to undermine my work, took credit for my ideas, and grew jealous whenever his father praised me instead of him. I ignored his childish behavior because I believed professionalism always wins. I had no idea he had been waiting for the perfect opportunity to humiliate me publicly, and my wedding day was exactly the moment he had chosen. Only an hour before the ceremony, Ryan arrived at the venue wearing an expensive suit and a smug smile that instantly made me uncomfortable. Without congratulating me, he handed me a sealed envelope and told me to open it immediately. Inside was a formal termination letter stating that my employment had ended effective immediately. My heart nearly stopped as I read every line twice, hoping it was some terrible joke. Ryan leaned closer and quietly said, "Consider it my wedding gift to you. You'll have plenty of free time now." I could feel dozens of guests staring at us as whispers spread through the room. My fiancé noticed something was wrong and rushed over, asking why my face had suddenly turned pale. I couldn't even find the words to explain what had happened. Years of dedication had disappeared in a single moment. Ryan smiled proudly before walking away as if he had just accomplished something great. I wondered how I would support my new family without a job, how I would pay our bills, and how I would explain this humiliation to everyone standing around us. It felt as though the happiest day of my life had instantly become the darkest moment I had ever experienced. Just when I thought everything was over, my phone began ringing. I almost ignored it because I was overwhelmed, but when I looked at the screen, I saw my boss's name. I answered with trembling hands, expecting him to confirm that I had truly been fired. Instead, his voice sounded calm but filled with anger. He asked where Ryan was and whether he had actually delivered a termination letter during my wedding. I quietly answered yes. There was a long silence before he spoke again. He apologized for what had happened and assured me that I was still an employee of the company. He explained that Ryan had no authority to fire anyone and had acted without permission. My boss had learned about the incident from another employee who witnessed everything and immediately called me. Then he said words I will never forget: "After your honeymoon, come back to work. Not only do you still have your job, but I'm promoting you to operations director." As for my son, he no longer works for this company. Tears filled my eyes as the weight on my shoulders disappeared. What had seemed like the end of my career had suddenly become the beginning of a complete. The ceremony went ahead, and for the first time that afternoon, I smiled without pretending. My guests had already heard rumors about what happened, but they were amazed when they learned the truth. Ryan had left the venue before anyone could confront him, embarrassed that his plan had completely failed. My boss later arrived in person, apologized to my wife and our families, and admitted that he had ignored his son's arrogant behavior for far too long. He explained that leadership meant protecting good employees instead of rewarding entitled family members. In front of everyone, he publicly confirmed my promotion and thanked me for remaining loyal to the company even during difficult times. The applause from our guests felt overwhelming because it wasn't just about my career, it was about justice finally being served. My wife squeezed my hand and whispered that she had always believed honesty would win. At that moment, I realized that true success isn't measured by titles or money, but by the respect you earn through your actions. When I returned from our honeymoon, I walked into the office with a completely different mindset. My new office overlooked the city skyline, and many coworkers congratulated me on my promotion. They admitted they had been afraid to speak against Ryan because of his family name, but they were relieved that fairness had finally prevailed. My boss trusted me to rebuild team morale and improve the company's culture. Together, we introduced policies ensuring that no employee could ever be treated unfairly again, regardless of who they were. Productivity increased, employees became more motivated, and the company achieved record-breaking success within the following year. Every challenge I had endured eventually became part of a story that inspired others never to lose hope during difficult moments. Looking back, I realized that the worst day of my life had secretly been preparing me for my greatest opportunity. Years later, people still ask me how I remained calm after losing my job on my wedding day. The truth is that I wasn't calm at all, I was terrified. But life has a strange way of rewarding people who refuse to give up. Ryan believed power came from his last name, while my boss understood that true leadership comes from character, integrity, and fairness. The man who tried to destroy my future ended up destroying only his own, while I gained not only a promotion but also the confidence that no one can steal your value if you've earned it honestly. Every time I look at my wedding photos, I remember that painful moment, but I also remember the phone call that changed my life forever. Sometimes what feels like the end is simply the beginning of something far greater than you ever imagined. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another emotional story. Share this video with someone who believes that good people never win, because sometimes justice arrives when you least expect it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next